Hello, my lovely beauties. It's Sheila. Welcome to a little floor and tea chat time. I decided this evening that I would plump myself down here on this floor and just have a little chat with you all while I sip on my tea prior to going to bed tonight. Something's just been like totally going on so much lately that I just decided a perfect topic to do some chatting. I'm going to dedicate this video tonight to all the ladies out there that wonder why it is so many men stay in the situations that they do with a certain type of female, that they stay in a relationship where they're being mistreated, where they're not receiving the things that they need as a man, or that why do they keep giving to the female that doesn't give back, that doesn't appreciate, doesn't acknowledge him as a whether it's a boyfriend, a husband, or whatever form of significant other that they are. And I am here to tell y'all that I have been the receiver on the end, where the man has come to me and just basically poured out his heart over certain situations that he's in. And I've also been the female that have sat amongst her girlfriends, and some of them just voiced their opinion about like why, myself included. For so long I wondered myself, I was like, what makes men do this? Like, I don't understand. And often I would look at myself and I would think of myself as being like a great person, a great catch for a man. And I could never figure out why some of my friends or some of the nice men that I met in life were attached to these women that didn't appreciate them, that didn't give them the things that I felt that you should give a partner in a relationship. And it took me a while to figure this out. And honestly, I think I have to say it was through another friend that I was able to really kind of like bring it all to surface. And I'm going to do a little story time about this particular situation because it's one of my friends that I've been friends with for years. And I watched him go through this type of relationship and how he stayed and stayed and stayed, and how eventually, I was his sounding board. I was the person that he came to share his concerns about, and to vent on those days where he felt so unloved and he felt so unneeded. Yet he was giving to this person and giving to this person. He was paying the mortgage, buying the cars, making sure the cars were running properly, taking care of the children. He was doing it all, and yet he would complain about it, but he would go back in every day and do the same thing over and over again. And I like to title those men as men that need to be needed, or men that needs to feel the need to be empowered. And the way that they feel empowered is through that female that allows them to just give and give and give, and she receives from him. And so the more he gives, the more she receives, the more empowered. It's like a vicious circle. He becomes more empowered. He feels that he's needed. So even though says he doesn't want that type of relationship, he wants someone that's going to treat him a certain way and give to him in the same form that he's giving back, so to speak. He will continue to be in that kind of relationship because he hungers to be empowered. He hungers to be needed. And it took me a while, when I finally realized me being the person that I am, I would never find that type of guy, because I was a person that was able to stand on my own. I was able to give and receive. I was able to make a man feel loved and needed. And even though that's what they want, a man in that caliber doesn't really, when something like that is being given to him, he feels that he loses his empowerment. I've analyzed this inside and out, and because I know so many people chat with me about this, and so many people share with me that this is such a big concern of women. And then, like I said, having male friends that go through this, I'm going to take you into a little bit of a story time right now. Years ago, I had a really good friend, and we're still good friends to this day. I was his sounding board. He was living with a girlfriend. They had been together for a long while. We would meet about once a month for lunch, and that once a month that we would meet, the entire time we were together, I would literally hear about how the girlfriend didn't appreciate him, how he paid the bills, he took care of the son, he paid for the groceries, he paid for the car repair, he made sure that her family, her friends, everybody was always well taken care of. Yet she never did anything for him. She never made him feel loved. She never did this. She never did that. So I was constantly hearing this from him every single month. It would be a different scenario, but the same type of thing. Type of man, I want to preface this by also saying it's not just a female companionship that he locks into, but he locks into his family the same way, whether it's his mother, his father, brothers, sisters, cousins. They're the man that locks themselves into anybody that will just allow them to just be empowered and to feel like that they're needed so much. So, you know, the cousins, the family members, they're all asking, you know, I need this from you, I need that from you. And that man is going to give and give and give to those type of people, because each time he gives to them, it gives him a little bit more boost of being that he is strong and he's capable of doing all of these things. Yet he's the same man that will complain to you day in and day out. I listen to this friend every month for years, like seriously for years. Until finally one year, it was Christmas, I'll never forget. We always went to this Chinese place for lunch. It was kind of like our favorite little place to go eat, and it was a good place between my work and his work, so we were able to meet, have our lunch, and so one day I'm sitting there. To remind you, you know, I was a single mom for many years. I raised my son, you know, basically alone. His father was in his life, but of course didn't live in the same city or the same state. So a lot of things that were done day to day were done by me as his mom. And the mere fact that I never increased my ex-husband's child support, I lived on a very, very budgeted income. And so things were never easy for me. I mean, I made things work. And, you know, when I got divorced, I knew that I had to make it. And I wanted to prove to myself as well as to my son that I could take care of him. And so I did what needed to be done. You know, I worked 2 jobs. I did everything that I needed to do. Me being that type of woman, I would never capture the heart of that type of man, because I was displaying that I didn't need a man, that I just wanted a man. That type of man wants a woman that needs a man. And so during that time, it was really rough for me, because so often I would wonder, you know, like, why couldn't I meet a man that would be willing to allow me the possibilities of certain things in life that I crave? Like I said, I could never meet that type of man that I even felt safe enough to allow myself to be in a situation like that, because again, I am a strong woman. So it takes a lot for me to be giving enough, or to be willing to let myself go enough to entrust that a man like would be able to take care of me in that nature. So, you know, there was 2 forces there fighting against each other, which again is why I would never have ended up with a man like that. And so this particular day, it was, like I said, it was Christmas time, and you know, I'm just sitting here trying to figure out how I'm going to make my son have a good Christmas. And here is my friend telling me about the money he spent on the girlfriend, the money he spent on the girlfriend's child, the money he spent on his mom, the money he spent on his brother. And he's complaining because everyone is still asking for more. He's complaining to me, yet he's not telling them no. He's not saying to them, enough is enough already. The girlfriend, you know, she's a stay-at-home mom. She doesn't have to work because he's taking care of us. Sitting there that day, and I guess at that point I was feeling I don't really know how to verbally describe how I was feeling that day, other than I felt like I could not hear another word come out of his mouth. So I found myself exploding to him, and I asked him, I yelled and I screamed at him, and I said, do you realize that I've known you for X amount of years, and I've listened to you over the years? We've had lunch together at least once a month for several years now, and every single time we meet for lunch, I hear what you talk about. You bought her this, you bought her that, you bought your mom this, and you bought your brother this, and you did this for your family member, and you did this for a cousin. Not once, not one time in all of this time have you ever asked me, do I need anything as a friend? I've been a friend to you. I've been that person that have listened to you when you cry. I've listened to you complain. You know my situation. You see me struggling every day. You've seen me work 2 jobs. You've seen me barely making ends meet. And the only thing I get from you is this lunch that you buy me once a month. Yet I've been a better friend to you. I've been a better person to you than all of them put together. Yet you've never ever once asked me, Do you need anything? Yet I sit here and you're complaining. Just stop giving to them, and then you won't have to worry about it anymore. And you know, it was funny because I realized the minute all of that came out that I probably had overspoke myself. He lost his smile, his spirit looked broken, and I felt really bad, but at the same time, I felt free. I felt for the first time I finally spoke up for what I believed in. And it took us, it did do a little bit of damage to our relationship initially. There were a few months that we didn't talk there. We would do the casual hi, but we didn't get back to where we were for a while. It took us a little bit of time. And then one day he called me and he said, hey, you know what? He goes, let's meet for lunch. And I was surprised because I knew I'd hurt his feelings, and it wasn't my intention to hurt his feelings, but I wanted him to understand how I felt as a friend, as a person that have longed for someone to be that type of person, so that I could give back to them in the best ways possible. So we met for lunch that day. As he was sitting there across from me, he said to me, you know, he told me, he said, you know, you hurt my feelings, you know, a few months ago when you said all those things that you said. But then I went home and I really did some evaluation over my life, and I realized that everything that you said to me was so right, that I am a person that I need to be needed and I like to be empowered. And so I was feeding off of all of the things that I was complaining about. Everything that I complained about, it made me feel even stronger, because if I could give or I could do these things, then I felt more of a man. And he goes, I don't know how to shake that, but I am working on it. And he said, I've learned to say no. I put a limit on Christmas that year. Since then, I've been working towards not giving as much. And a few months later, he and his girlfriend ended up splitting up. And I felt bad because I was thinking, oh my God, I hope I wasn't the cause of that. And he said, no, you weren't the cause of it, but you did open my eyes to see that I needed better than that. Now, that man to this day is still the same type of man. He still needs to be needed. He still have that desire to feel empowered by in so many different ways. I was thinking to myself, I don't know if he really gets it, but I guess he's trying. So, you know, to this day, we're still friends. We meet every now and then and say, hey, what's up? I haven't seen him now, though, in several months, because our lives just kind of went in different circles. But we do talk every now and then. He still is that guy for sure, but he still works on it. I don't know if he'll ever be free of that, because I think when you are that particular person, it takes a lot for a man to release that desire to be empowered, or to release that need to be needed. And saying all of that, I would like to say to the ladies out there, if you are one of those ladies and you wonder about the man that is that way, wonder no more, ladies. You're not going to change them. The funny thing is that I meet men like that all the time. And for some reason, men like that, they are attracted to the person like myself. And when I say attract, I don't mean like in a sexual way attracted to. They have that longing to come to a person like myself and chat about their lives. She's not a wife, she's just a person. Yet they continue to make sure that the car is running properly. They continue to make sure that the mortgage payment get paid. They continue to do all the things that she wants done, but yet they complain about it as they do it. And every time that they do it, they feel even more empowered. So that means that the next month, when all the bills roll around again, they're going to do the same thing. That man is not going to change. He will always be that man. He's always going to cling to the female that need a man, and not the female that wants a man. So ladies, if you're sitting out there and you're listening to this video and you've had this conversation with other girlfriends, or you've had this conversation with yourself, you're just going to have to get over it. I would say the odds of meeting a man like that for yourself is about a 1 in 1,000 chances, if not greater. I have searched and searched and searched, and I've talked to so many people, and you all know people come to me in all walks of life, sharing their lives, sharing their stories with me, and I've yet to meet a man that successfully overcame when he was that man that needed to be empowered. Like I said, my friend works very hard at trying to be a better person at it, yet, I still hear the stories. I still, even though he broke up with the girlfriend, believe it or not, he still takes care of her. He still does things for her to this day. If she was to call him right now and said, you know, I need money, I need this, or I need that, he will give it to her without question. The family members are still asking. He tells them no to us after a certain point, but he's still giving to them. He's still getting fed off of that need to be needed and to feel empowered. You know, it's a vicious cycle. And unfortunately, I don't know what the solution to it would be. All I can say is that women like myself, and we have to be proud to say that we are women that are very strong and that we don't need a man in our lives, that we want a man in our lives, but we don't need a man. And we must never cave in to that type of man, to give them the empowerment in the sense where we just allow them, where we just manipulate them, because that's where their empowerment comes from, is that when the female that needs the man manipulates them in their warped way of thinking, they have gained something when they do something for her or give her something, because then they can gripe and completely control the situation. They can tell her where to go. They can tell her what to do. And basically, she's kind of at his, at his fingertips, because he bought the car that she's driving. He pays the mortgage that, provides the roof over her head. So inadvertently, because she does need him, she needs him to continue to do those things. So it's really sad. And, like I said, I meet men like this every day still. And I still have them come to me and they tell me things like they're going to leave. I'm tired of this, being treated this way. I'm walking away from this relationship. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then, I'll see them a month later and they're still in it, and then they have the audacity to share with me, yeah, I had to take her car to the shop because she's not even willing to take her car to the shop herself yet. I'm like, well, guess what? Don't do it. I mean, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. So in conclusion, I hope this little story time, chat tea time made a lot of sense to y'all. And I hope maybe it kind of answers some questions that you all have had in the back of you. So for any man that clicks on this video tonight and you can identify with being that type of man, I encourage you to find your empowerment from the strong woman, because you can be empowered the same way. The two of you can work together and achieve such high goals. You would have somebody by your side that would be willing to work with you. It would make the world of difference to be in a relationship like that. And even to your family members, if you that man that you have the cousins and the brothers and the sisters and the moms and the dads and everybody in the world asking from you and you're giving to them, you know what? It's okay to say no, because you weren't put on this earth to take care of everybody. You take care of what you need to take care of, but don't take care of everybody. Don't feel the need that you have to bail everybody out of a sticky situation. Let them learn to fend for themselves. So all of that being said, I've truly enjoyed this little floor chat time with you all. I hope that this video opened some eyes for some. I hope it gave a few answers out there, consideration from both ends of the spectrum. I know that there's so many different ways this video can be received, but I do more than anything hope that it's received with love. I understand that this is a hard thing on everybody's end. It's hard on the person like myself that needs to be empowered. And ironically, and even though some people might not see it, it really is hard on the person that is in need of a man, because they are pretty much stuck. They have placed themselves in a situation where they need everything that they're receiving, and that's not a good feeling either. So it's kind of one of those things, like I said, it's a vicious circle. Little by little, things like this can be changed. We can all change. We can all work together to make things like this go away, be of non-existence. And, if we just open up and talk about it. I'm going to sit here and finish drinking my tea and just kind of prepare myself for bed tonight. And I'll chat with you guys in my very next video. Bye-bye. In the case that I didn't make myself clear as I spoke of the conversation that I had with my friend that day, my main objective was for him to understand that even though I sat in front of him a very strong woman, I had the same needs and desires as his girlfriend did. I wanted someone to acknowledge and treat me in those same kinds of way, even though I resembled the strength as if I don't need someone, because I really don't need anyone. I longed to have those things, and I wanted him to see it from my perspective. I also would like to add that many times we strong women view this type of man as being a good man, and in most cases, they really are good men. However, I know that in the twist of things, sometime when they're with that woman that is in need or dealing with the family members per se that are in such dire need, the man can become very controlling, and then inadvertently that becomes a very bad situation. They have that need to be able to tell you what you can do, when you can do it, and where you can do it at. And in turn, you lose all your sense of being yourself. At that point, it becomes not a good situation. So we do need to work together as people that love each other and care about each other, and make it so that no one has to suffer under such circumstances. Again, thank you guys so much for sharing this evening with me, and I will definitely have more on this topic to come in the future.